Welcome back to another episode of Trading Secrets. Today we are joined by Love is Blind Season 4 participant Micah Lucier. Did I say that?
Yeah, you got it.
Lucier, the French. Although Micah's time on the show did not end in marriage, she most certainly got the full experience of the experiment, having split from her partner Paul on their wedding day. After her time on the show, Micah has leveraged her newly generated platform into various brand partnership opportunities. Oh yeah, she works with Rewired. And as of last week's Love is Blind reunion, we found out that she was offered the opportunity to join the cast of Season 2 of Perfect Match with other Love is Blind alum, Izzy Zapata and Jessica Vestal. We are going to chat with Micah on all things reality TV and how being cast onto Love is Blind compared to being cast on Perfect Match goes. Micah, thank you so much for being on Trading Secrets.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How does it feel when you hear reality TV star? I know you went to Washington State University, and I feel like your trajectory was a little bit different, but in Seattle, and now you are a reality TV star. How's that feel?
I mean, I feel like star is a relative term, but I mean, it's an interesting thing to hear. I worked in tech before I did like any sort of reality TV, so it's like two fully different worlds.
Okay, two fully different worlds, but they've merged to one. Now, people last saw you on the Love is Blind reunion, so I got a few questions about that, okay? When Love is Blind reunion comes in, it seems like they pick casts from like different seasons and different couples. What do you think like the method or like the business methodology is to like who they're picking and why? And did you expect to be selected?
Yeah, I mean, they told us that it was kind of based on people who have like life updates or something interesting happening with them. For some of the couples, you saw like they're having children. Matt and Colleen just bought a townhome or moved in together. And Brent and Tiffany are Brent and Tiffany, and they're
Like legends.
Portland together. There's legends.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit shocked, but I think it makes sense because I think they wanted to kind of announce that Perfect Match 2 is coming.
Okay. How long, like when you guys are filming for like a reunion like that, how long is the filming process?
Oh my gosh, we were there for at least 5 hours. I would say 5 hours plus is the filming. And it's totally different than ours because ours was live.
Yours
So
was
we only
live.
had an hour to like spit out all of our thoughts and feelings, but they definitely had some more time to get into it.
Which is worse? Would you rather prefer going live or would you prefer the like 5-hour taping session?
Yeah, I was recently talking to Chelsea about this actually, and she was kind of thinking that she preferred live and it was nice to just get it over with, but I kind of wish I had like more time to like talk about things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get that time, and sometimes there is things like I regret that I didn't get to say.
Okay, I get that. That makes sense. So
Yeah.
I feel like with live, it's less edited, but with, I don't know, when you're taping like that, you have some time to get your words out.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, talk to me about this. After you go on Love is Blind, you now are considered talent. You're making money off social media. We'll get into that a little bit. But when they bring you back as talent, do you get a talent fee for coming back for a reunion? How's that work?
Yeah, you do. You get like
Okay.
a fee. Everyone gets.
It's like the same amount.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a guess at how much that amount is. And you can tell me warm, cold, or bang on. I'm going to say you're doing one session, one day. I'm going to say 5K. Like
What would be considered cold?
that would be cold.
What would be considered cold?
So I would say if I'm within 2,500, I'm warm.
You're warm.
I'm warm. Okay, there we go. There's the answer. All right. So anything else for the reunion behind the scenes? I mean, we saw a lot of Jessica just absolutely crushing it. We saw Jimmy and Chelsea. It seems like they picked their couples that they want to talk about and don't want to talk about. Like, was there anything behind the scenes like that we should know that we didn't get to see?
I feel like we did get a little bit more closure on Jimmy and Chelsea behind the scenes. They kind of said that they're friends now, yada, yada. They were able to wrap up their story. And Brittany and what was Brittany's guy's name? I'm so
Something
bad.
with the T.
I don't know.
can
They're
look that
a
up.
couple. They got to talk a little bit about what happened with that and why the
Yeah.
breakup looked so weird on the show. And basically, they said that they had to shoot the breakup after they'd already broken up. So
Oh,
it's like
interesting.
that's why it looked so weird, and maybe he seemed like a little dissociated on his phone.
That stuff we don't get
It's
to see.
Kenneth.
Yeah, Kenneth. Okay. Why is it like we saw season 6 blow up? Your season did really well. We know season 5 flopped. Like from your standpoint, what is it that makes a good season? Like why are some seasons people gravitating to and some they're not?
I think it's a combination of things. I think the season either needs to be really heavy in couples finding love and there being genuine connections, or there needs to be a lot of drama.
Okay.
And I think, maybe on my season, there was a little bit of both. And I think that's why it was a hit. But this season, there was like a lot of drama, but there's also like big stars born. Like it's, you can see with like AD, she's absolutely taken off. Jess absolutely taken off. And so I feel like it's people that are just really genuinely interested in them.
It's interesting though to see like why, I don't know, one season they don't have any followers. The next season they're on their way to 1 million plus. I don't. Yeah. It feels though like, I don't know what your take on this. It does feel like lately reality TV is popping off a little bit. Like you're seeing Love is Blind popped off, Traitors popped off, you're seeing Bachelors back in action. Like you're going on Perfect Match. Do you feel like reality TV is swinging in that direction? And is that part of your strategy in like going on more shows?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think people don't want to say it, but one of the things of staying relevant, like as a reality TV person, is continuing to go on shows or just getting your face like in front of a camera. And so whether you like it or not, you kind of got to force it out there. So that's something that I'm definitely trying to do.
Okay, because with Perfect Match, like Love is Blind has a certain, let's just say like, I would say credibility. Like people that go on Love is Blind do like really well and it's got great credibility. Perfect Match is still TBD because it's a little wild. Like the show credibility and like what goes with the show is still a big question mark. Does that impact at all your business decision to go on it, knowing it might get a little dicier?
Yeah, I mean, the vibe of Perfect Match is definitely very different than Love is Blind was. It's more fun and more relaxed, but I think it's kind of a niche that I fit better in anyways. Okay. So it's like, you know, I already put myself in a situation that was nothing like normal for me or really anyone, but in Love is Blind, Perfect Match is like more my personality and more my speed and casual. Okay. And so it's kind of like a why not give it a shot kind of thing.
Okay. Can you tease us a little bit? Like what can we expect from Micah? What are we going to see from Micah that we haven't seen yet on Perfect Match?
Oh my gosh. I'm definitely a little bit of a simp in the show.
What does that even mean?
I mean, I'm a Pisces. Like I'm a lover girl. Like I always
Oh, so you fall hard.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Maybe. But it's definitely like a roller coaster. It's a chaotic season, and I feel like that's something normal that you can expect from me anyways, but it's certainly there.
Do you think you're going to get good at it?
I have no idea. I mean, I thought that I was going to get a good edit on Love is Blind, so obviously I'm not very good at gauging these things.
Fair.
But we'll see. Honestly, I'm not worried about the edit. I like who I was and how I presented myself on the show. And if it shows, it shows. If it doesn't, I mean, I'm going through worse, so I don't really care.
I don't want you to get into contract trouble, but can you contractually say what you were paid to go on this show or no?
Probably not.
Okay. All right. Can I take a stab? Just give me a warm, cold. I'm going to say you got around, how many shows is it? How long is it?
I don't know. I'm sure it'll be maybe 10 episodes.
10 episodes? How long did you film for?
We were there about a month.
Okay. You've gone for a month. Netflix, second show. You're building some steam here. They put you on the reunion. I'm going to go 20 grand.
Warm?
I'm warm. Okay. Maybe a little off, but we're warm.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take warm without getting you in trouble. We'll take warm. Okay. Are there any other shows that you think after Perfect Match you might be on or that are on your radar?
I don't know. It's hard to say. There's always talks and chats, so we'll kind of see what happens. There's not a ton of routes on Netflix to go. I feel like
there are, though, no? Does that mean you're in a relationship? Did you find someone on the first night?
You'll have to see.
All right. She's teasing us.
But, I mean, there's not a ton of different dating shows or routes either. It kind of is like Love is Blind, Perfect Match. Where do you go from there? I think a lot of people end up going to other networks, but we'll see.
On other networks, do you have your eye? Like, do you have a dream show you'd want to be on?
I think it's time to hang out the towel on the dating shows at this point for me.
Interesting. So you want maybe a challenge show?
Yeah. Maybe something a little more, maybe something family friendly. Like let's change the image a bit. I don't know.
Family friendly. All right. Let's talk about this. Especially people that come out, all different reality stars and all different backgrounds. Brand plays big into your monetization. So if you had to define your brand, how would you define what your brand is?
I think I have like a lifestyle brand based around like traveling.
Okay.
I think that's the majority of what I do. And then maybe like a little bit of like beauty. I work sometimes with skincare companies, makeup, those kind of things. So I think that'd be the best way to kind of explain.
Okay. I think that's a good one. Now, before Love is Blind, we're going to rewind all the way before your reality TV days, knowing where you are today. And because we were just on Reunion, we wanted to talk about that. But let's go back before Love is Blind. What were you doing for work?
I was working in tech actually. So I did marketing for a large tech company.
Okay. And in a role like that, if someone wants to do marketing for a tech company in Seattle, give us an idea of like what you can expect to give. Like, how does compensation work in a job like that?
Usually it's just like a yearly salary
Okay.
jump, maybe a bonus depending on where you're working at.
Okay. What determines success in a job like that? You know, like if you get a bonus, how, when you go for, because especially now, because it's around annual review time for people, how would you know, like, if you did your job well and if you'll get a bonus in a job like that?
I mean, there's different ways to probably measure success, but it depends what role you're working in, of course. The role I worked in was really project-based, so I guess it would be like dependent on basically how many projects I got out the door, probably a little more than how the projects performed,
Okay.
just because I was in more of an organizational role.
Okay. And in something like that, let me take a stab. How many years experience did you have?
4, 5.
4 years experience, 5 years, Seattle, tech company, marketing. Did you ever move companies or were you with them the whole time?
Companies.
Okay, so when you move companies, I'm asking people, my little brain is thinking that's a nice little 10, 20% bump in pay. That's why people move. I'm going to say salaries, it's expensive here in Seattle. 95 grand base?
Cold.
Cold. Much higher?
Yeah.
Really?
Where?
I'm telling you guys, if you need to get paid, come to Seattle. They make it big. You're not contracted up. Like, I know I can't mess with your Netflix contract because that's your future, but you're not contractually obligated to not share your salary there. Can I get you anything?
The last company I was working as a contractor,
Yeah.
and my rate was a little bit lower due
Okay.
to kind of the market.
Yeah.
Before that, I was making 130K.
Okay, so 130K, and then
At
it
this
brings,
point, I was 25.
so you're 25 in Seattle, 130K. Like, that is a really, really good place to be. And in tech, which is an area that's blowing up, how the hell does Love is Blind come to your door? What does it look like?
Honestly, they knocked right on my door and I kind of answered. I'm someone who's always kind of taken any opportunity. I don't see myself as someone who is going to work a 9-to-5 job. It's nothing I've ever really wanted. I kind of ended up there because the money was good and it was an easy place to pivot out of college because it's what I went to school for. But I've always wanted to do something different or something like more. And it kind of just came to me. I think there's multiple reasons to go on Love is Blind. We kind of saw what Trevor, he's going on for fame. I think that people can agree that while you can invest in the experiment and be excited about getting married, you can also see that there's potential benefits. And I think that if you say that you don't see that, you're lying.
Yeah, it's 100. No one. I mean, is it fair to? Can we both agree in 2024 at least?
Yeah.
If you're going on reality TV, there has to be some percentage of you that's going on for fame.
It
has to be.
It has to be.
Because there's too much transparency now.
Yeah.
Like I would say, like 5-10 years ago, like people didn't know like what you could do with social media and stuff. But like now, it's so like it's of course
pretty
a
awesome.
fame play.
For sure. And whether it's just because you want to make more money or you've always wanted to be famous, there's going to be something that is there along with, going for, the point of the show.
Yeah, there is definitely another motive other than just the point of the show. Whatever maybe it's you own a non-for-profit and you want more exposure, like, which is great. But there's definitely ulterior motives, which is why people go on. But they find you. How'd they find you? Do they see you in the street? Do they email you? What are they doing? How'd they find you?
I actually got reached out by two separate producers. One reached out to me on IG, and the other one, my friend who I actually worked at the tech company with,
Okay.
did an application for me as a joke.
Oh, interesting. So you get
And I was,
okay.
all about it.
So do you for people back home that are like, oh, I would love to be on a show like that? Do you think it was the application or do you think it was the Instagram DM that probably locked it in?
I'm not sure, but I know that the call from the application came first.
Okay.
So I was already well into the process once I got a DM.
Okay.
It was weird. I guess they weren't chatting with each other.
So back home, you want to get on reality TV, you're here to now, go apply. Like, that is how you get on. Go apply. All right. So then in what year did they start filming?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. What year is it right now?
So it's 2024.
I think probably 2022 then.
Well, when did your season air?
It aired last
2023, right?
Yeah.
So you guys only filmed 1 year before,
1 year before.
which is rare though, because don't they have seasons banked right now?
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of crazy to me that you guys went, filmed, air, but right now, out in the world, there are people from Love is Blind that are married and we don't even know who they are.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's a wild concept.
I know. I feel like I thought it was so terrible that we had to wait a full year. I was like, oh my God, do not want to have the anxiety of this, but you end up forgetting about it. But over a year, I'd be like, this is no.
Okay, when you left to go on Love is Blind, how long was that filming?
So the first chunk is about 10 days in the pods. Then the vacation, which is literally a blur, was probably like maybe 5 to 6 days.
Why do you say it's a blur?
Oh my
Because of your
gosh,
experience?
Flowing.
Oh, you were just bombed?
I was
Yeah.
bombed.
Unlike that, in Bachelor, we have a drink minimum. You can only drink so much.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Okay.
And then you go home and you spend like pretty much the next month living together and like planning the wedding and like getting back to your like life schedule.
So roughly around a month.
A month and a half at least.
Month and a half. Okay. Did when you left for your job and then you came back, did they allow you to come back or not?
What did I do?
Did you work back or were you doing like contracting at that point?
I had just accepted a new job and I told them I couldn't start until I got back. So when
Did you tell them you were filming?
No, I didn't tell them I was filming anything. And when I got back, we were still filming and I was trying to adjust to like life with Paul and like moving to these townhomes and I had to start a new job.
Yeah.
And so it was like extremely overwhelming.
Okay. So you finished filming, you start a new job. At what point do you tell your job you're about to be on a hit reality TV dating show?
I didn't tell them until it literally came out. In fact, I don't even know if I told them, but I remember I started getting Slacks and I started getting messages from people being like, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah.
And due to the way that a lot of people were portraying me, I was actually really nervous. I felt like embarrassed getting into meetings.
Yeah.
Like I had like so much anxiety thinking like, what do these people think of me?
Yeah.
And so it was kind of rough. And then, but you know, everyone was really excited about it. I think people were just excited to have someone.
Now, you don't work for this company anymore.
No.
So what was the departure process look like? What was that?
So my contract was up with them and I decided that I wasn't really going to force trying to find another one within the team or elsewhere. I didn't have any more time really because I was starting to like take a lot more brand deals and put more time into my social media.
Okay.
And it just wasn't possible for me to do both. I'm sure it's possible for some people, but for the ethic of work I have, which is very medium, it just wasn't there. It wasn't working.
Very medium. I love the honesty. Okay, so you get off the show. You decide not to go back to tech. We know you're making $130K. Your talent, you're blowing up. Can you make more now, or are you making more now off social media than you were in a role like marketing?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point it's starting to get there. I mean, at the beginning, I wouldn't say I was making it. I wasn't really getting a ton of brand deals, but now there's definitely been more. And I would say the trajectory for this year is definitely like well over that.
What do you think has changed that is allowing you to monetize more now than before? Is it content output? Is it brand? Is it the fact you've maybe escaped your first edit from Love is Blind? Or like, tell me about the business side.
I think it's a combination of all things. I mean, you naturally get better at making content as you do it. So like being in front of the camera and stuff. But, you know, I don't know. I think there is a separation of how people portrayed me when the show first came out versus now.
Yeah.
I think that naturally, you know, I've lost some of the following or the supporters that were kind of there at the beginning, but now I've gained ones that are actually here for my content. So it kind of raises my engagement because it's like people that are here for me, like the ones that are sticking around.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
When we go back to Love is Blind and we see kind of how your relationship played out and the result of it, I don't want to get into too much of the weeds behind that, but do you feel like when you watched it back, it was a fair representation when you're thinking about your brand, business, and next steps in this entertainment space?
I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a lot of things that were like dramatized to like make a storyline.
Yeah.
And you know, everything doesn't happen how, you know, it seems to.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, it's a TV show.
Yeah.
And I think it was hard to kind of show people like who I actually am versus like who they think I'm on this, like I am on the screen, like separating the character from the reality.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel like everything happens for a reason. Like maybe there's some reason, I don't know if I've found it quite yet, but that was like the way that I started my, you know, journey in content creation, but it was. So, I mean, it is what it is.
That is what it is. I want to go into the pods real quick. My new book, Talk Money to Me, it's about this whole marriage of love and money. Like, did it ever come across your thought process in some of these conversations when you're literally about to get married to someone you haven't seen to like have these conversations? And if so, like, what did that look like?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if people like know this, but how the days in the pods are set up and like what people have like seen and been like, oh, that's a script. They're reading off a script. Like you can see things in people's notebooks.
Yeah.
You're given like a set of topics to kind of start the conversations each day.
Okay.
And one of the days is financials.
No way.
Yeah. So you
a full day on it. Because we only see like small amounts. Like here, like last season, we saw a little of that. Like I don't even know your finances, but we don't see it often.
You don't talk. You don't have to stick to the questions. It's just something. If it's not already flowing, there's like ways to get conversation going. Okay. And so it's something you talk about. I know me and the person that I like moved forward with, we didn't really talk about money in the pods at all. But as we were getting closer to the marriage date, it was something that we, were put in the situation to talk about. And so we did. It was like the most uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
Neither of us, we weren't great communicators to begin with, but talking about money was definitely interesting. And going into the wedding day, like in the back of my head, there was the fact that I hadn't done any sort of a prenup in the back of my head.
Yeah.
I did already own my property and I have, assets. And I was like.
Did you talk about that at all?
I mean, he knew it, but we never got to the point of like signing a prenup, and that was in the back of my head.
Well, when you get married, so obviously you get married, it's TV marriage, but like, are you signing like, is it legit, like licensed married?
Yeah. So before you go into like the week before your wedding day, you apply for a marriage license. So we had a marriage license, and if we got married, we would have signed it there.
I was just wondering if that was a TV thing or not. Like,
no, we had a full marriage license.
Like Love is Blind producers, you need to throw in a prenup attorney to see if people will imagine the TV that would be. Yeah, so like talk about, what do you want to do it? Do you not? Like what are your assets? What aren't your assets? Yeah. That is really interesting that they give you those topics. I have a question for you. I think about the last season, and the season, I think it was the best season for virality moments on social media. Being someone who's been in reality TV and seen the production of reality TV, I feel like, and I could be wrong, the Chelsea situation, the Megan Fox. Here's my take. My take, where producers was like, okay, Jess is this beautiful, beautiful person. They're both beautiful inside and out, but Jess is like this rocket. And then, we're going to set this up to be like something. And they might have even pushed Chelsea to be like, hey, like, maybe you should suggest, like, do you have a celebrity lookalike? I don't know. Who are your celebrity looks like? And they said, Megan Fox, like, yeah, tell them that. Do you think that's possible? I know what happened in there. And basically, you're sitting in like, some dates are literally 7 hours long. Like, you're just, like, dinking around in there. Yeah.
Like, at some point. At some point,
it's like boring, honestly.
No, it was really boring.
Yeah.
Like, people are like if they say there wasn't moments of it being boring. Like, I was, like, coloring the whole time. Like, the whole thing. But you naturally say lookalikes. Like everyone was saying who like lookalikes and stuff. There were so many that people were saying. Yeah. Like Paul was the guy from You. Mm-hmm. Like what's that guy's name? I don't know.
I know who you're talking about. I'm terrible at names.
Gossip Girl. Okay, whatever. And that was
shit. What's his name?
I know.
It's gonna bug me all night.
Yeah. That was his name in Gossip Girl.
No, well, in the recap we'll talk about it. Okay. We'll bring it up.
But anyways, yeah, and so. And I refused to like say anything because I just knew in the back of my head, I was like, no, I'm not going to, not only do I not want to get like dragged for this, I also don't want to give an unrealistic expectation. Like I'd rather like under promise, over deliver. Yeah. And so I was not going to say anything. Yeah. You're like smart about that. Okay. Yeah. Let me ask you this. You've been in the pods, you've been on Perfect Match. We'll see it soon. To go back to the pods, to Love is Blind, what's the dollar amount it would cost? What is the offer it would take for you to go back in the pods? I don't know. I think I would just do it for sport at this point. Real? So you're just down. I'm just down. I mean... So like when it comes to TV, and because I know other shows we had talked about offline, other shows have reached out to you. You're just like, I don't even care if I get paid. Like, let's roll. I'm going to have to get paid. Let's roll. I'm not going to waste my time. Like, time is money. So I need to get paid, but I want to take that much. I mean, as long as it's a reasonable amount, like something on par for what other shows, are paying, then I'd probably do it. Like, do it for the plot at this point. Like, why not? Like, I mean, I love the honesty. I had so many people like skirt around it. I love the honesty. So you would do a show for the plot, for the TV time. What's the business thought behind it? I think just more exposure, and honestly, it's fun. Like it's an opportunity. Sure. It's exciting. You get to meet new people. Yeah. But more exposure equals what to you? I feel like more money. Yeah, I think it's about cultivating like a bigger brand and like more following in the sense of people that actually like you for you. Okay. I think it's maybe just getting in front of the people that you might be able to connect with. Okay. Online. Since Love is Blind ended, what is one business thing you would have done different
either managing money, monetization, anything, knowing what you know now? So that was like a year ago. So what is one thing you would have done different?
I think that when, the show and things first came out, I spent a lot of time kind of like cowering from the internet because I was, like upset or scared or definitely like getting attacked.
Yeah.
But I think I would have been more proactive with, starting my journey of like making content. I think that's kind of something that sets me behind a little bit. Some of the other cast is that like I went during those important weeks.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if I was a little bit more active, that would have like shown in my, engagement.
Interesting. So like, I think that's a good takeaway for people that are back home. I think the idea is like when you were getting hate from haters or criticized, you were dealing with like kind of the mental changes that come with that. Hindsight, you would have stepped into that more.
Yeah, I think it would have been more empowering for me to kind of like step into it and take it with a grain of salt. But I think as someone who's never experienced anything like this and wasn't expecting that kind of reaction, it's like a natural shock. Hindsight's 2020. I mean, I've talked to some of the people in the most recent seasons and kind of given them this like piece of information, and they've seemed to take it and run with it, which I think is, the best thing to do. And sometimes I wish someone would have told me that.
Interesting. All right, we're gonna get your trading secret. Before we do, you were making good money, 130K. You go on Love Is Blind. You now have another show. You're doing well off social media. You already mentioned that you had real estate. Talking about a prenup. So like, what is like the biggest money success or money tip or money trading secret that you have implemented to get to where you are doing what you've done?
You have the wrong person on the show today.
Listen, you've made good money,
yeah.
right? And you have a house.
Yeah.
And you're 28, right?
Yeah. Just turned 28, yeah.
Yeah, so you're 28, you have a house, you own real estate, you've made good money, like you're doing something right.
Yeah, this is
What
true.
are you doing right? What's the number one thing you're doing right?
I think I don't like necessarily take no for an answer. I feel like when I bought my first house, I was 25, 24, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to force it. And I literally just forced it over the finish line. Like I scraped up money and I got it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I did. So I think that a lot of times like our brain can be like the thing that tells us that we're not able to do something. And sometimes we just need to take a step past that.
That's good.
And just go for it.
What do you mean you scraped up money?
I was scraping up money from like everything.
Like hustle inside
Savings, like, yeah, just like doing everything, like taking up random jobs, working as like random shifts as a waitress, like selling stuff. Like I just scraped it together, got to it.
Sell.
Just like, I don't know, handbags, shoes, like just nice things I had.
Someone on the street selling like fake
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was on Canal Street. No. No, I just stuff that I had accumulated. Always had a good closet.
like on like Facebook, like Marketplace.
Yeah.
Well, I could ask you a million more questions, but we got to go to the book tour, so we got to wrap up with
Let's
your
do it.
trading secret. So one trade secret people can only get from your experience, Love Is Blind, perfect match in the marketing space in Seattle, something unique to you. What can you leave us with?
I have no idea.
Think about a life advice, a financial advice, piece of wisdom that you got over the years, a hard learning lesson you learned from that, like someone, think about the people back home that are listening that like look up to you and they watch you on TV and they watch your Instagram and they could learn something through like the crazy experience you've had. Like what would one thing be?
I don't know. I'd say like life is short. Like don't wait for tomorrow. Like jump on whatever opportunity, you can get. If you're scared or not, just take the jump and usually it'll end up well.
I like that. Take the jump, take the risk. I think my biggest trading secret I learned from you is the one about just scrapping. Like you wanted a house, so go do it. There's a million reasons in this world not to do things. There's a million reasons why not to buy real estate. There's a million reasons why you should stay in your marketing job. There's a million reasons why you shouldn't have done perfect match, right? Like there's a million, but there's that one that's like, hey, life's short. Let's go. Let's roll. And sometimes it's those decisions that get you ahead. So this was a hell of an episode with the one and only Micah Lucier.
There you go. I nailed it.
All right. And Micah, where can everyone find you?
Find me on IG, Micah.Lucier, and TikTok's the same thing.
All right, there you go. Go give Micah a follow, and we are going to head to the book tour in Seattle right here, right now. Thank you for being on Trading Secrets.
Thanks for having me.